Hi homesteaders, welcome to my basement today. I thought I'd give a little mini tour of how we do our garden seed setup and our potting area and how we start our garden plants. So that's what I'm doing today. And we've done this for several years. At least 10, probably closer to 20, but at least 10 years we've started our garden down here. And I'd like to encourage you, if you don't um, start seeds, to try it at least once. I think you'll be surprised at how satisfying it is when you start your own plants. But you don't need a lot of space. We didn't start out with this whole shelf full. In fact, we just had one little area. And we had just a regular old shop light that we used for light. And that worked fine. I had no complaints with how well it worked for just our little area, and but you did use a lot of electricity. So when we decided to go LED, we went ahead and invested it in the grow lights because we know this is something we're always going to do. So we will get a return on it, and they are more efficient. So I'm really pleased with them. But to start out, we just had the shop light, and we didn't invest a lot of money in our setup either. These white plastic shelves that we have on top of the concrete here, those were just, I bought them at like Dollar General or Walmart over 20 years ago for my kids' bedrooms. They put them in their closets for extra storage space and things like that, or in their bathrooms. So they were just left over, and they've been down here in the basement collecting dust. So I just set them up on top. This is a ledge, and I set those on top of that, and they hold the plants up closer to the light, and they're really good. Now, these little plastic tubs that they're sitting in, these are regular seedling trays that I picked up at Rural King for $2 this year. In the past, I've used the aluminum disposable cookie sheets to catch the water, and those work just as fine. I got them at the Dollar Tree, but they didn't have them. And so since I knew that I would be using them again next year or until they break, anyway, I just went ahead and paid the $2 for these. But you don't have to put a whole lot of money into this. These red solo cups, some of them are generic. This is the first year I've bought different colored ones because we're going to be selling some plants, so I wanted them to be a little extra special for our roadside stand. But everything else is really, we've put no money into it. This is potting soil. Let's see if I can show you this. This tub down here is what I dump it into, and I keep the rest in bags so that it doesn't get all moldy and everything. But it's just a plastic tote I picked up probably at Dollar General. So there's not a whole lot of money in this. The most expensive thing is the grow lights. And like I said, we went probably 5 or 10 years before we invested in these. This is the 3rd or 4th year with those. So we did longer with the shop lights, and it worked. Just do it. Don't worry about the expense. Do it with whatever you have. Like this thing over here. Let's see if I can show it. I ran out of the plastic tubs, so that's a roasting pan over there. There's no reason why you shouldn't try to start your own seeds if you can. And it's so satisfying to put something in the dirt and it grow, and then you put it in the dirt outside and you get your own food. And I think everyone should try it at least once. And if you don't like it, if it's not something you enjoy, donate what you did it with to someone who will do it for you. It's just a really good way to be self-sufficient is to grow your own food. And this is where it starts, right here. So I'll show you what I do with I'll use this as an example. So I put the potting soil in the cup. I put the seeds in. These are tomatoes, so they take a little over a week to sprout, but these are the cherry tomatoes. If you can tell by looking, the potting soil is a little chunky, and seeds don't like to come through there, so I take the very top layer that I put over the seeds, and with my fingers like this, make it finer so that the seeds can come through. And then I keep the tops watered until the seedlings come up. And then, let's see if I can show you one here. I put a little hole in the side, usually two, sometimes just one, just Um, you just take a sharp knife, run a hole in, and then once the seedlings get going real good, I water them from the bottom and encourages the roots to go down. By the time that they've got to that point, the soil is pretty saturated throughout, so they're not going to dry out too bad. Just keep an eye on them, and then in a week you've got these. They're leaved out, so that I've started watering them from the bottom. Right now we've got cabbage, broccoli, peppers, hot peppers, sweet peppers, cucumbers, 3 different kinds of tomatoes, and okra, and zucchini, and patty pan squash, and the marigolds that will be for pest control, and the plants I'm going to sell. All on this one shelf. I've got room, I could do more, but this is all the light I have right now. Some of the plants that are down on the actual ledge are pretty far from the light, so if they start getting too leggy, I'll rotate them until they get used to how they're supposed to grow. And it's just so simple. I come down once a day, check the plants to make sure there's not too much water or that there's enough. I put the water in here up till it's above where the hole is in the cup, and they'll take it up from there. And then by the time these go out in the garden, the roots will be some of the plants, the roots will be coming out the holes. They'll be almost root bound. So I have to be real careful about the timing on it, that I don't plant them too early. But other than that, and I'm going to show you something else, because this is important too. Let's see if I can find one. This right here. This is my spaghetti squash. It did not come up. It's a failure. It's had plenty of time. The seeds were probably 10 or 15 years old, and they're no good. So now I know. I can still buy a plant to replace this if I want spaghetti squash or any other kind of squash or anything that didn't come up. I'm not losing money, because I would have bought the plant anyway if I hadn't started the seed. Now I know that these seeds are no good, because I planted more than one and none of them came up. So the rest of those will get trashed. And next year, when I buy seeds, I'll have spaghetti squash seeds on the list. And in a couple of days, when I've got time, those cups will get dumped. And if I find something else I want to replace it with another seed, I'll just put it in there. And I got plenty of time still before it's time to plant the garden to start anything I want. So that's my little setup. It's really simple, and I would like to encourage you to do your own. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll try to answer anything you have. Have a good day.